Mercedes continues to struggle with the W15 as the team at Brackley simply cannot understand what's going on with their car for the third year in a row. With the losing of Hamilton in 2025, if the Silver Arrows cannot get it together and find an experienced driver to partner George Russell, the near future is simply bleak for Mercedes. And that's why it's simply not a surprise that in the upcoming Australian Grand Prix this weekend, the team will experiment as to which upgrade would work the best. So, would this package be the real deal, and can it turn Mercedes' season around? In the 2024 Formula 1 season, Red Bull has maintained its massive lead in comparison to the rest of the grid, while Mercedes is still trying to adapt to the ground effect regulations. The Jeddah circuit, known for its rapid turns, has highlighted Mercedes' ongoing challenges, and Lewis Hamilton has voiced concerns about the car's rear stability, which did show issues from the past. Despite earlier assurances from Mercedes upon unveiling their W15 car that past issues had been resolved, it seems the struggles from 2022 and 2023 are persisting and even becoming worse. What is funny is that it does seem like the porpoising-plagued W13 will be Mercedes' best car from this ground effect era, a crazy thing to consider. Now, Bahrain looked good before the Grand Prix, as testing went very well and it did look like Mercedes made a huge step towards improving, but then qualifying came and the race, and they failed hard. It's quite interesting really how Mercedes arrived in Jeddah with a single perplexing question only to find themselves confronted with several additional ones. After the Bahrain race, they were puzzled given they had meticulously gathered data throughout the week from testing to practice sessions and were confident about the anticipated temperatures for the Grand Prix. Yet, upon arrival, they discovered a significant discrepancy of 1 or 2 degrees in their engine temperatures compared to their projections. Such a deviation at this level of competition is substantial, and this impacts calculations a lot. The discussions leading up to Jeddah were filled with uncertainty as they grapple with the inexplicable lack of performance. Some sources suggested a loss of 4 tenths, while others proposed 6 or 7 tenths per lap, leading to compromised driving styles, engine modes, and tyre temperatures. This issue undeniably cost them precious time in Bahrain, with the drivers forced into lifting and coasting alongside adjustments to engine modes. The root cause of their cooling deficiency remained elusive, compounding their woes with broader concerns over overall car performance, presenting a significant challenge that overshadows their initial inquiry. So why do they face such an issue? The car is stable in low-speed corners, but does showcase unsettling rear instability in high-speed turns, and this in turn has an effect on the confidence of Hamilton and Russell. The intricacies of this issue were magnified at the Jeddah circuit, renowned for its high-speed nature, which places significant strain on the car's aerodynamics, especially in keeping the floor close to the ground. The relationship between speed and downforce is pivotal. As speed increases, downforce escalates exponentially, and this phenomenon is particularly pronounced at circuits like Jeddah, where aerodynamic loads surge with remarkable force as speeds elevate. Here is a table illustrating the substantial increase in load, showcasing the dramatic rise from 100 to 340 km per hour at such a demanding circuit. At a speed of 100 km per hour, the car maintains a front ride height of 25mm and a rear height of 70mm, which, combined with the chosen vertical stiffness, forms a practical setup. However, the escalating aerodynamic load presses the car closer to the track, necessitating reliance on vertical stiffness to counteract this force. Illustrated in the graph below is a straightforward 40% front and 60% rear center of pressure aerodynamic distribution. So, relying solely on conventional vertical springs to support this substantial load would render the car mechanically too rigid, particularly in slow and medium speed corners. At speeds nearing 300 km per hour, the car risks dipping below ground level or even colliding with the track surface, an outcome no F1 driver desires. To address this challenge, supplementary support is introduced through what is known as front and rear central third support springs. While the suspension initially responds to lateral forces with side springs, the central spring engages to bolster the car's stability at high speeds. However, it's important to note that this central spring primarily provides support in a linear fashion, primarily effective on straight sections of the track. During cornering, this central spring shifts laterally and doesn't compress, limiting its effectiveness in supporting the car during lateral forces. By strategically manipulating the aerodynamic center of pressure as the ride height shifts, it's possible to enhance the desired rear stability at high speeds, crucial for driver confidence. The stiffness of the central third spring plays a key role in this process, slightly compressing the rear and consequently raising the front. Although the resulting changes in ride height are minute, only a 2.4% rearward shift between 100 and 340 km/h. The impact on rear aerodynamic stability is significant, instilling confidence in the driver. As speed increases, the car experiences greater downward pressure at the rear, posing a risk of contact with the track surface due to the rapid growth in downforce. To mitigate this, meticulous attention to underfloor details become essential. By incorporating dedicated airflow separation areas in the floor design, akin to a dimmer switch, it's possible to modulate the increase in downforce, preventing the car from bottoming out. This delicate balance between maintaining adequate downforce levels while preventing ground contact poses a challenge. However, with careful design and implementation, it's feasible to achieve the desired outcome of maintaining aerodynamic center of pressure control while safeguarding against ground clearance issues. All of this might sound complex, because it is. And who would know what's best of the drivers if not Hamilton? A driver who won 7 world titles, right? Well, not according to the Mercedes former technical director Gary Anderson, now a writer for the race. In his column for The Telegraph, he's accused Hamilton of having a limited understanding of what it takes to produce a competitive car in F1's current ground effect era. After the race, Hamilton said that big changes need to be made to the car. He mentioned that the other teams around them still have different concepts, but Hamilton is talking about what you can see. The critical parts on these cars is the underfloor, and Hamilton doesn't know what the other teams are doing there. What you can see is not necessarily what makes the car work. He seems to be of the frame of mind that if Mercedes make their car look like a Red Bull, it will go as fast as one. It will not. The W15 needs a lot more work than the visual concept, but the worry is that they still don't understand what a ground effect car needs. The fact that, again, as in 2022, both drivers have diverged in their setups as the weekend went on is not a good sign. Hamilton has gone back to his 2022 approach of trying to find the magic bullet to its setup that he hopes will find half a second out of nowhere. They're clearly still experimenting with their car, but I don't think the solution, and a performance leap from nowhere, is in the car anymore. Now, Mercedes places significant emphasis on understanding the intricacies of the floor design, and team principal Toto Wolff highlighted the disparities between simulated and real-world downforce levels, raising the question of why such variations occur. Returning to the analogy of the underfloor dimmer switch, the goal is to regulate downforce levels, increasing it at slow speeds while controlling it at high speeds. Optimizing this balance yields a car with substantial grip in slow corners and a stable rear end at high speeds. Unlike Red Bull, which typically excels in one area over the other, Mercedes grapples with finding the optimal compromise to achieve peak performance in both slow and fast corners, and balancing grip and stability presents a unique challenge for the team. The scary thing for Mercedes is not that they were saying that this was a starting car and that more upgrades will come later down the line, like for example McLaren last year. No, for the Silver Arrows, this was a car which supposedly had a good starting base, and later on we would bring upgrades. Now, as they discussed designing experiments for Australia, reminiscent of Hamilton's role as a test subject 2 years prior, it appears Mercedes still grapples with unresolved issues despite extensive sensor testing. If Jeddah's performance anomaly persists, it may extend to other high-speed circuits like Australia and Japan, where Mercedes has historically struggled. Reports suggest Mercedes might delay planned upgrades, a predicament not shared by rival teams adhering to their upgrade schedules, and things are still uncertain as the Brackley side assess the car's performance strengths and weaknesses in Melbourne, determining whether upgrades will be effective or if other issues need addressing first. This ongoing struggle, now in its third year, remains simply an embarrassment for the team, likely frustrating Hamilton and, to be honest, proving his point about leaving the team, as he seeks success in his final year with Mercedes. And let's be honest, despite Alonso's comments that only a handful of drivers contend for the championship, each race victory holds significance. So whether or not Mercedes will get it together as soon as possible doesn't necessarily have to depend on the Australian Grand Prix coming up, but it most certainly will show us the direction which they're going in the near future. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Mercedes upgrades, whether they test them or not in Australia, will guide them in the right direction? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.